Hey guys, thanks for joining in on this discussion of Dark Souls 2. The ultimate goal of these videos is going to be to simply discuss the different design decisions that have been made by Dark Souls 2 in its development phases. Each time a significant piece of information is released or a demo gameplay is released, we will have another video to discuss those different decisions that we see and different design elements that we see. I'm going to be starting these discussions by voicing my own personal opinions, but it is just an opinion and it is not fact. So please feel free to disagree or agree in the comments below, but try to have some respect, would be appreciated. The first thing we're going to start off seeing here is just me doing some crappy farming in Anne Orlando. I by no means claim to be a decent Dark Souls player, but it doesn't stop me from going through and screwing up and doing my best. Throughout the course of the video, I'm going to have little clips of the Dark Souls 2 gameplay posted, and we'll discuss those clips as they come piece by piece. The first clip we're going to see here is going to be a simple introduction to the game where they basically demo the player itself and the graphics of the game, which they've claimed to have been updated, and it does look updated, and you can notice that the character detail looks significantly better than it used to. The world looks a little more textured than it used to, the draw distance looks to be a little more clear. The game does look great and the graphics do look awesome in the demo gameplay. I think that's a good direction they're picking to kind of increase the quality of graphics in the game, even though the previous ones were nowhere near lackluster. So the second clip here is the first thing they do in the demo, really, after they show you the character, and they just simply light a bonfire, which is probably the greatest part of the demo, to see that the bonfires still exist. For some reason, I was nervous that they wouldn't include them, thinking there'd be some new system they could incorporate, but the bonfire's here, so we can rest at ease with that. Alright, so this third clip we're going to see is the first time I started feeling concerned during the demo gameplay. And it's not that big of a deal, but it does appear that the player took a hefty blow to the face, but didn't take significant damage from it. Now, it could just be that he's out-leveled or out-geared the area he's questing in, so we can hope that that's the case, but we should also hope that that's not what the amount of damage the standard mobs are dealing to the player himself throughout the game. This next clip felt a little weird for them to have even in the demo gameplay, but I think all they were trying to show is the fact that the game's going to have a progressive scene or progressive viewing of the next coming components of the levels. No different than when you're heading into Blighttown in Dark Souls and you look down, you can see the swamp below you and the impending doom that's down there. This is actually one of my favorite parts of the demo, and that's lighting a torch. They simply light the torch and they progress through the level with a light source. Now, there were previous light sources in Dark Souls, like the skull lantern or whatever you wanted to wear on your head, but I think it's kind of cool that you can actually carry a torch around throughout the game, but it does take your offhand slot, which can be dangerous, which is a cool trade. But also, I think that they are going to have levels like the Tomb of Giants, and they won't have a light source for you, and you've been going through the entire game with this torch, and now you can't use it anymore. And that could be one of the cooler things they do in the game, one of the more unique levels or difficult levels. So eventually we're going to see some combat here. And the combat action in the game looks amazing. The best part of this little clip is the fact that he took significant damage when the enemy fell on him, which was somewhat encouraging to see. But I do want to address the issue of people complaining that it hasn't been updated, like they want to see a God of War, Ninja Gaiden style of combat, which are great styles of combat, but they're not Dark Souls combat. Dark Souls should keep the system of combat that it has, maybe add new features or new ways to encounter fights, but it shouldn't feel like a different game. It should feel like an elaborate version of Dark Souls, which I think is the direction they're heading, and you can see more of that in the full demo gameplay. I'm going to play that last clip one more time just so we can take some time to look at the enemy model. I actually thought it looked really cool, like a pissed off armadillo with a mace, but it does look really cool, and his animations look very good and heavy. The falling's kind of, falling, but it's still pretty cool. I think the models do look really good in the game. We'll see more of those in the next set of clips. Now, eventually the character progresses, or the demo progresses, to fighting two of these guys in a tunnel, which was a disastrous situation, which was perfect, because that's how Dark Souls is you either have control of the fight or you don't, and if you lose control of it, you're going back to the bonfire. I thought it was pretty cool that he got so easily wrecked the minute he walked into a second one and wasn't ready to take on two of them at a time. One concern I had in that was that he was blocking with his torch and didn't seem to be losing too much endurance. But again, let's hope that's gear, level, balancing, or maybe just for the sake of the demo, they tweak the numbers a little bit for their own sake. The next part, I can't tell if I dislike it or like it. It seems gimmicky, like a Legend of Zelda Ganondorf fight, or something awkward where you're deflecting an axe with your sword and then you get one shot in the face. It seemed weird to me, but it could be fun, maybe it won't be. That's something I think that should be discussed more, because it's kind of just an awkward, gimmicky fight in my opinion, but we'll see how it plays out when the game actually releases. The demo is going to take us into a mansion next, and it's actually pretty cool. Giant skeletal body hanging in it with loot in front of it, which anybody who's played the games knows you shouldn't pick that up without being ready to die. But it was a really cool little trap they put in. I also like the color palette in here. It's different from most Souls games. The color's a little more vibrant, they look pretty cool, but they're still dark and dreary to a certain extent. I think the game looks great inside these new environments, and I look forward to seeing more of that in the demos. Alright, after this giant golem in the background stops kicking my ass, we're going to move on to seeing another little odd gimmicky component in the tech demo, and you literally stick a cube inside of a skeletal face and change the lighting. I'm not too sure where they were going with this, but it makes the environment look cool at least. In that same hallway now, we're going to see him interacting with a monster in the environment. Initially he was beating on the door and nothing happened, and then he shot him in the face and the creature eventually shoots out of the wall. And that's cool. I don't think it's that significant or that game changing, but it could be fun to have areas where it's littered with caged monsters that you can eventually break out, and there could be hidden loot in those walls they blew down, or they could be unique monsters that drop certain stuff. It's kind of cool. Kind of felt weird in the demo, but it was cool. Alright, now this last clip was the last piece that I was kind of concerned about. It seemed gimmicky as well. He's going to walk on this epic bridge with dragons flying all around you, and then he's going to randomly get blown off. Now, I mean, that's really cool and all, but it's a gimmicky death. And I know some people claim the Dark Souls has had some gimmicky deaths, but I don't recall, aside from the giant red drake above the bridge in Dark Souls, any gimmicky deaths like this. But on that same bridge in Dark Souls, there were burnt bodies and burnt markings on the ground with a giant dragon hanging over. It should be pretty clear that you're going to get owned if you walk on it. But that bridge kind of felt like you had to progress that area and then you randomly die in the process. Hopefully there was more to it than they showed there, but it didn't seem to be like a fair death. And in Dark Souls, you do die a lot, but it's because you deserved it, not because someone farted nearby and it killed you. So that's the last of the clips that I have of any significance, I believe. I think the trailer and the demo look amazing. I'm sure when the game comes out, I'm not going to bitch about anything. I'm going to sit here with my pants off for a week and play it. I won't go into details about that, but I think it's going to be phenomenal. But while the trailers and demos are coming out, we can voice some opinions, we might as well, and maybe they'll hear some of the community's outcries if there's anything important coming out. So thanks for watching. Please feel free to comment below. Please do comment below. If you want to see more, you can subscribe. I'll be doing these every time there's some more information. Don't forget to take your troll hats off before you comment. Opinions are just opinions. Don't be bothered by them. But thanks, guys.